So who doesn't love portals, right? I mean, they're pretty fascinating. And there are all kinds of portals, naturally occurring portals, spiritual portals, physical portals, different types of vortices, gateways. Um, so just to name a few. But I love working with them. I learn a lot when I work with them, not only about, opening and closing them and, different properties and characteristics, functions, but also what comes through the portals. Uh, and I have a lot of different uh, ideas and experiments that are targeted with learning more and more about the spiritual worlds and the paranormal mysterious realms using portals. I have a very big project that I've been utilizing my time on, and it, of course, all revolves around portals. It's the main aspect of the whole experiment. Part of what I'm going to show you today is part of me getting ready to do the experiments with the portal work that I am trying to conduct. And this is the resonance encoding part of the whole experiment, which is probably one of the most important aspects of it because it's what gives it its power and makes the portal strong. It also helps me to direct the portal where I want. I do have specific things that I'm looking for here, but it would take a while to try to explain it all. But I just thought that this was really interesting what I did tonight. I pretty much took these videos for my own notes as the experiment goes, but I thought it would be fun to share this with you, learn a little bit of interesting things. And I mean, this can apply to anyone in the paranormal field. So if you're a psychic or an investigator or, a magic user, any kind of occultist, this information is good to have. When you're working with portals, you want to do some programming, and no, not computer programming. It's programming energy and onto different like surfaces or fields or just any type of energetic signature. So I'm doing like long-term programming and encoding, and the whole entire purpose of this particular part of the experiment is to continue programming the objects that I want encoded without actually being present. So while I do the work now, the encoding and the programming will continue on, making the object I'm encoding even stronger and stronger and stronger, and I won't even have to be present. So this will help make my work much better on a deeper level, and it streamlines the programming for me. So there's less work and stronger results. Win-win. So part of the procedure, and some of it that you'll be seeing, is to take the small piece of aluminum foil and encode it with important power words and symbols that have a lot of meaning and power behind them. And then that piece of foil will be charged in order to make it even stronger. And I'm using the foil, which is going to act as a conduit to transfer and embed an encoded message onto an object that I will be using for my experiments. And the object will also have to be treated very similarly with the power words and the symbols, but it would have to be encoded differently, otherwise it could damage the objects. Then I was thinking, well, this is a very, very powerful way to make the energy of the object and the energy that I want to put onto that object happen. Now, this isn't like enchantment where, an occultist might want to enchant an object. When I say charge it, this is more on a scientific viewpoint where I'm literally trying to charge up the energy and make a little bit of change in the structure of the object in question. So I want it to literally work with my directives. Then I decided to take it one step further by using resonance in order to empower the conduit. And of course, that would make the whole entire experiment much more powerful exponentially. So let's get started with what I did. I'm going to give you some questions that I wanted to answer while I was proceeding to work with this resonance encoding. So here are a few questions that I wanted to answer as I carried on with the resonance encoding. So the first question is, will the resonance be different between the foil that is plain as opposed to when it is encoded with words and symbols? My hypothesis on this one is yes. The second question is, will the plasma ball give off EMFs? My hypothesis on this one is yes. Will the plasma ball's sparks affect the EMF, and how? My hypothesis for this one really depends on if my theory is correct. If my theory is correct, then my hypothesis is yes. If my theory is wrong, then it'll be no. And I'll explain more about my theory afterward, but let's see if my hypothesis is right. As far as how it will affect it, if my theory is correct, it's because the sparks will be on the outside of the ball, therefore it would have a more direct effect on EMF. So maybe there will be either stronger EMF readings or spikes. Will the EM pump have any effect on the plasma ball? It's my hypothesis on this one. I'm going to tend to say that it may have an effect on it because there's two sources of EMF, so it might be stronger, might put out stronger, but if what they claim about plasma balls is true, which goes back to my theory that I don't think is true, and like I said, I'll explain that. So if that's true, then it really shouldn't. So we'll see. I kind of think that it may have an effect. We'll find out. So what you're going to see now is me trying to find the resonance frequency of a plain piece of foil, nothing on it, and it's not charged. Some of these tones that you hear might get a little loud on your speakers. I tried to adjust them a little bit, but I just wanted to let you know so that you can be aware and adjust them yourselves for what makes you comfortable. This is 41 hertz. There we go. We got something vibrating now. 662. It's more. 652. Nope. 653 is too high. 639. 635 seems better. Oh, 624 is good. 620 is better. 612. You hear it singing? 612. 579 seems to be the right one. Let's go down. Oh, hold on. 521. 299. $464. I think we're going to go with 464. So as you can see, just because the tones go up doesn't mean that the vibration of the foil is going to go up. It drops off at a higher frequency and picks up at an even higher frequency. And that's the whole idea here, to find which range of frequencies and then try to zero in on the frequency in between that range that makes the highest vibration, and that is the closest resonance that I'm going to get using this method. So I just wanted to let you know that. Alright, we're going to try this again. This time it's the resonance with the symbols on it, but no charging. Alright, we're at 219 start. 275, we hear a little bit. Make this a little bit louder. 287, it's going pretty good. 250. 287 is not as good as 256. The whole range is pretty good, starting at 247. Drops off a little at 254. I think it starts pretty good at 247. 248, 249 is better. 279, 280. Drops off there. Let's go back to 280. Here we go at 315 again. Oh, 329, better. We'll lower that a little bit. Let's go back to 329. 331, 334 is better. 338. 360. Drops off completely at 4. 301. 350 stronger. 356. 370. So like 360. I'm going to go with 363 for that one. So that made quite a bit of difference, really. Resonance with after charging using the plasma ball and the laser. And I even used some ultraviolet light. I am going to start the, I'm going to start it at 300 hertz. It doesn't sound too bad, but I know it'll get better. Kind of go a little faster and play around here and see what we got going. Alright, 260 is pretty good. 280 is better. 347. 260. So 347 is good. 358. Drops off again around 370. 390. 350. 358 again. 386. I'm going to lower that just a little bit. I want to hear the paper. 380 and 350, 360, 380, 360, 380. So 360 is better than 380. 420. 380. 382. And 360. So it was 482. So it says a couple of points. So the 360 is one of them. 480. 525. 480 is better than 525. 590. 480. Alright, we're going to go with 480 for the resonance after it has been charged. So that was pretty interesting. You could see how all three changes that I made to the foil all had different resonance. So every little thing that you do and every little change you make changes vibrational frequencies. So that's a good test of that. So I'm going to move on now to show you what I did. And these things will answer these questions that I posed to you earlier. Let's find out. Get working on getting the right frequencies for the foil. I also had some things I was curious about. Don't you love a plasma ball? Everyone loves a plasma ball, right? First of all, if you have a pacemaker, don't even put a plasma ball on or get near one. It can stop your pacemaker. So definitely do not do that. Second, they claim that a plasma ball, has the Tesla coil in there, and they claim that it's all the gases are trapped inside of the ball, and that they don't escape. But I mean, if you leave a plasma ball in for a while, you'll start to smell it. But my curiosity always gets me. I guess that's why I'm a scientist. So I wanted to know if a plasma ball gives off EMFs, and I know it does, but we're going to do it anyway. Yeah, I'm smelling it now anyhow. So I'm at 2 meters. This is my K2. I'm sorry for all the movement here, but we're going to start back. Move my chair. And we're going to start back a distance from this, and okay, as you can see, it's still picking up some radiation, and I mean, we're pretty far back. I'm going to take 1, if you can watch it, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 steps, and I'm up to it. As you can see, it's steady. It's pulsing steady. This meter is topped out, okay, at 20 milligauss. So, I put that down. Of course, you know, it's not picking up as much from down here. The sensor's really in the back. So, you're getting the most radiation right in this general area. Then I have a cell sensor here. As you can see, as soon as I put it on, it's going crazy. You put it up here, and I don't know if you'll be able to see this with my camera. That is also topped out. And when I step back, this one I don't think is, might be more sensitive, might be less sensitive. It's hard to do this with no hands. We're going to be back. So you can see I'm not as far back as I was with the K2. Not as far back. Let's see if I can do this with one hand. So I'll take a step, 2, 3, 4. It's letting me get right up to it before it actually starts picking anything up. I'm going to try to go back slow. Yeah. So it's a big difference with the K2. I'm going to leave this back here for a minute and grab the K2. Let me just change the view here a little bit for you. So, with the K2, you can see this one's going pretty good. And this one's not doing anything. When I get closer, you know, it's still not too much. It's doing the same thing. So here we go. This one's topping out. And this one isn't yet. As I get closer, right about here, you can hear this one's going off a little more, but it's still topping out. Both of them are. Now the interesting thing is, the second thing I wanted to know was if I make it spark, you can make the plasma ball spark out. So I'm going to shut it off because I don't want to kill myself. And I'm going to put a little piece of foil on the top. Please be careful with this. You can still get shocked, and I have. Turn it on. So I use another piece of foil, kind of made like this little foil thing here. It's hard. Okay, you can make little lightning sparks. Can you see them? I can't come too far off. They don't really come out too much. But you can see that, right? So, doing that, I can put my meter on. Alright, I'm not super close, but close enough. And when I spark it, I just got a zap. But you can see that it made the meter spike. Every time I do it, it makes the meter spike. Same thing with the cell sensor, but I'm going to have to do this a different way for you because, let's see, it has to be further away. Oh, sorry, it's not reading, and I'm going to spark it now. Now. See? You'll hear it if you listen. Wish I could get it both in the same frame here. Maybe. Let me try to pull this down. Alright. I just don't want it to go off constantly. Here we go. Maybe. Alright, ready? But I thought that those things were quite interesting. And remember to turn off your plasma ball before touching your foil. And now we saw the EMFs coming off of the plasma ball. This here is a very simple EM pump. So this pumps out electromagnetic waves. So we're going to put that on. The plasma ball's off, obviously. Here's the K2 meter, and to show you that it works, there we go. It's topping out. Bring it back. So it doesn't seem to have as much oomph as the Tesla coil in the plasma ball. Okay, so let's leave this on, the K2 next to it, and let's see what happens. Now this, I'm not really sure what's going to happen here. Let's see what happens when we turn on plasma ball 2. So everything's running. Nothing seems to be happening there. I was curious to know if the EM pump here would have anything or any effect on the plasma ball. This is it's coming out further than the EM pump. It's probably because of the Tesla coil. Come back in, and as you can see, it's pretty strong. So I'm going to turn off the pump. And look at that. It went down a lot. That's for me. Look at that. So the Tesla coil is the only one on. This is off, otherwise a blue light would be on. Watch the EMF meter. Move my hand closer to it, to the plasma ball. I'm breaking the line there. And when I touch this, it doesn't do it as much. When I break the line, I'm concentrating the electromagnetic energy. So now we're going to shut the, I always go the wrong way, shut that off. So neither is on right now. So I'm going to put the EM pump back on. You see the blue light? It's on. It's running pretty good. Let's see what happens here when I go in between. It's spiking a little bit. The red light comes on, spikes sometimes. Really not making any difference. Every here and there, there's that little spike. Okay, so the EM pump really doesn't seem to have much of an effect on the Tesla coil. That's the setting I just put it on. You know, it's stronger. The EMFs coming off are stronger, which is not very bad for your health, just to let everyone know. So ghost hunters out there, you don't want to play around with a whole lot of EMF. And if you do, you want to be very protected. But as you can see, I'm moving my hand in between this pump, and now it's stronger when I do this. But I think that is still the radiation coming from the Tesla coil and not the simple EM pump. So, you know, it doesn't really, my battery pack fell out. Yeah, it doesn't really seem to have any difference on the coil. Kind of thought it might have looked like it was following it for a second, but it does not. Okay, that's all I wanted to see. That question is answered. So for the question about the resonance being different of the foil from when it was just plain with nothing on it as opposed to the symbols that are on it, and then I even did it after it was charged. And yes, it made a difference. Each little dent or crinkle in a foil will change its resonance, and I knew that before going in. But I was really curious to see how it would affect it, because I knew that it would, but I didn't know by how much. So, I mean, it was pretty significant. And so this just goes to show you that any little tiny thing makes a difference. So the answer to will the plasma ball give off EMFs? Well, I knew that it would. I just wasn't sure how much EMF it would give, especially in comparison to a simple EMF pump. Um, and as we saw, the EMF pump didn't put out half as many EMFs as the Tesla coil. I mean, that is a Tesla coil, but they claim that the EMFs are contained within the ball, in the glass, in the globe, with gases. And they're not supposed to be coming out to cause radiation all over the place. So as we can see, that's bull poopy. So will the plasma ball give off EMS? You bet your butt. So we wrapped up the little experiments that showed the answers to the questions, and this one, will the plasma ball, will the sparks that we saw that I made come up from the plasma ball, will that affect EMFs and how? The theory that I had was indeed that the plasma ball will give off EMFs outside of the ball. And since it does, I was thinking if it only sparked and gave off EMFs, then, well, that's one thing. But to give off EMFs, even when you don't bring the electricity outside the ball, that's another. And it did affect the EMFs. We had the meters up to it, and it gave off the EMFs, but when we decided to bring the sparks outside of the globe, you've seen the spikes happening on both meters. So it did affect it, and that's how it affected it. It raised and spiked the EMFs. And this one I thought was really cool about the EM pump having an effect on the plasma ball itself. As far as that was concerned, it did not seem to have any effect on the plasma ball. When we even held the simple EM pump up to the plasma ball, it didn't affect the plasma ball at all. Now, it did affect the EMF meter, so that kind of was telling you it was kind of going around in the atmosphere around all that radiation coming off of the pump and the plasma ball. So we concentrated the energy when I got myself involved there between the line between the Tesla coil and the EMF meter. There's a concentrated line of energy there. And when we moved the pump up, it did the same thing. It concentrated the energy even though it was off to the side. Not as much as a direct line break, but it did concentrate the energy. You could see that in the meter as the way it spiked every time I put my hand in between it. So EMFs are nothing to really play around with. They can be very dangerous, cause a lot of problems for your health. And I mean, they're everywhere. Get an EMF meter and go around your house and see just where everything's coming from. You're so exposed to so many things. And of course, ghost hunters and people like me who do experiments, we do expose ourselves to some, but hopefully you're using some kind of protection to cause minimal issues. So that was really interesting. I am actually going to do something with this piece of foil. It is for my portal work, and this foil is now charged very strongly, and it will continue to work for me for quite some time, so I don't even have to do any more work from this point on for a while, and that was the whole point of doing this. And just in case someone was interested in why I had candles burning with a prayer and a piece of bread, I was actually doing something different than this whole thing with the resonance and the foil. That was just something personal on the side. No magic or anything, just a simple prayer. As always, thanks for tuning in. So happy to have you with me. This is Shara, Psychic Miss Paranormal and Elite Paranormal Specialist. I'll see you next time.